Well, we are super excited to be joined here on Tri-State Triumphs with the athletic director, the homegrown athletic director of the Western Illinois Leathernecks, Danielle Supernaut, who has been on the job for almost a year full time and is coming off what has been a really wonderful career trajectory. And I want to take you, Danielle, all the way back to your Carthage days. Did you ever kind of imagine this would be your vocational endgame?
Well, I think I knew from a very early age that I wanted to work in athletic administration, and I just don't think I realized at the time what level that meant, what it all entailed maybe, and just really what steps it would take and how quickly, to be honest with you, I would get to this point of my career. But I knew early on that I wanted to work in athletics, and I think it's that cliche thing to say of this, you can't imagine your life without sports, and that was really the direction that I had even from middle school and high school. And I just knew that this is where I was meant to be one day.
Did the architecture of, being able to say, this is the job I want, how much of that came from the stand at Quincy University, kind of seeing the nuts and bolts really of everything for the first time that's involved in that?
Yeah, I think Quincy was that unique experience for me because I really got the opportunity there to be involved in so many aspects of the department, such a small department. And with Marty Bell, who is somebody that I looked up to, and I still do tremendously. We have a number of phone calls. Having played both the AD and the coach role, I gained so much experience just by him saying, I've got to have a great support team around me to help out in other areas. So, I really got my start on the academic side, but it was Quincy that really allowed me to evolve and get my hands in really almost every aspect of an athletic department.
We've talked to a couple of folks kind of taking the same career path as you during the course of this, and they all kind of have said, this job is there's not any one definition to it. It's a million different things. How much of this of your day is just changing hats and wearing different hats as the athletic director?
The entire day. If I'm being completely honest with you, it's everything from one-on-one meetings, right, to leadership meetings, to coaches meetings, to student athlete meetings, to budget meetings, to financial matters, to, I often tell people, at least on my staff, that my day starts after 4:30 because that's when the university and stuff, offices close down, and I get the ability to kind of sign papers and do, the day-to-day operations. For the most part, 8 to 4:30 for me is filled with meetings across the board, but in a variety of areas: planning, facilities, compliance. I'm in it all. So every day is different, which is honestly why I love what I do. It's not something that's the same, and that's what I need in my life. And then at the end of the day or the weekends, I get to go, enjoy sporting events and cheer the Leathernecks on. So every day is different, but that's what I like about it.
So how much did being a Carthage Blue girl and all of the things that were entailed in that incredible responsibility, because you knew the reputation of the program and you knew that you had expectations, how much of that did that help set you up for vocational success you had?
It's really made me who I am, to be honest with you. I think coming from a very small town, and I've had the opportunity to move away. I worked in New York for a while, out on Long Island. I've been in larger cities, but this is home, and there's just something very unique about just the experience you get where everybody knows everybody. Everybody comes out to a game and supports you and cheers you on. And, I think for me, from the Blue Girl stages and the coaches that I grew up with who have coached me, but even to my parents, hard work has been ingrained in me from a start. And so I think that has really been, followed me throughout my career and has really pushed me to be able to get to where I am today so quickly.
From the standpoint of it, and I don't think there's an easy way to say this, but basically the job that you hold for a lot of universities has for a long time been a men's club. It really has, and you know this because you've probably seen it coming through. West was kind of unique with Dr. Smiley. You get to now follow that role moving forward. Does it mean something special to you to kind of make those inroads, as any of the other women that we've talked during the course of this project kind of touched on, that it's really needs to break that ceiling?
Yeah, and it is. And I'm very fortunate and blessed in that regard. You know, there's often times that I'm sitting around the table and the only female in the room. And, you know, I think that just gives me even more, empowers me even more to have a voice and to speak up on behalf of whatever situation, right? For females out there, for our female student athletes. And I think, you know, I take this role very, very seriously, especially when it comes to working with our female student athletes and our female graduate assistants, and really empowering them and motivating them to say that you can do this. Because, you know, one of the questions I get a lot, having been in this field, is just, you know, can you have it all, right? Can you have a family? Can you have, and it's hard to juggle. I'll be honest with you. I'm not great at the work-life balance. It's something that I've struggled with. But it's something that I talk about very frequently with our staff, and you can, you have to make time for it. But I feel like that's my voice, and being able to share how I've gotten here, and that we continue to tear down those ceilings that you speak about. There's some great support systems out there for females in athletics and administrators. You know, women leaders is somebody that I have some really great ties with there, and even colleagues that we lean on throughout the country to get us through even some of these challenging times, right? But just those daily conversations of things that we have to overcome in the midst of it. So I feel humbled and blessed to have the opportunity. But I feel like my job's not over having myself gotten into this position. It's my opportunity and my goal to help other females get to this point as well.
I think it probably gets overstated, Danielle, because sports fans are this. You know, if you were the athletic director at Clemson, there would be issues there. I mean, it would be its own unique set of issues. People think your job is kind of harder than that because you're in a smaller community, and Western has some built-in, you know, geographic issues with where you sit. You're kind of not near major population centers. Every job in this business is a challenge, not?
It absolutely is. And I think those challenges for everybody are very different, right? We have our unique challenges of location and things of that manner. But I also look at the opportunities that we have. And some of the opportunities are unique to us where, you know, maybe those Clemsons and those larger institutions don't have some of those. So, you know, we're really people rich here. And that's the one thing that I keep going back to in all of the conversations, even on the recruiting front, right? Is that here in the Midwest, we are very people rich. And if you get somebody to campus, they're going to fall in love and want to come here. And, you know, that doesn't mean that those challenges don't exist, but the opportunities for me far outweigh those challenges.
So you talk of the challenge, and your first really large-scale red-letter challenge is hiring a men's basketball coach. And this is, you know, and you know this, Danielle, people are going to grade you and judge you on this decision going into it. First of all, before we even get to Rob and the hire, did you feel that stress uniquely going into that process?
Yes. I mean, yes. You know, if I have to grade myself, I think I did pretty well. I give myself an A, but, you know, yeah, I mean, I think every hire is an important hire. A men's basketball hire, crucial. And you know, I did really feel the pressure, and for me it was about getting it right, and we had our challenges throughout the process, right, with COVID-19 and those sorts of things, but for me I feel like we hit that one out of the park with Coach Jeter, and he's going to be a tremendous hire for our staff. But that was my first big hire in this role, and I really felt for me it was just making sure that we got the right person in here to do the job, and I feel like we did.
You universally hailed for that decision. I know, based on some of the things I was seeing, you had a lot of really good candidates. And I think when people see you end up with Rob, that's about as high as anybody can expect for given, you know, what the program was. And you gave yourself high marks, rightfully so. But it's nice to hear that from the outside as well, because it is a decision that has almost been universally hailed. And that really doesn't happen in college athletics very often.
Yeah, you know, we did. We had a great group of candidates for the position. And for me, you know, that position as a whole is so integrated into the community and, you know, the fan base and every aspect of what we want to do with that program. And so, you know, I felt like it wasn't just about X's and O's and can we win on the court. I mean, there were so many other factors that came into that hire, and I feel like Coach Jeter is going to come in and do a tremendous job, and it does. It feels good to get you know, to see some of the comments regarding the new hire and the excitement, right? The engagement. And so we're looking forward to the upcoming season, and he's there's no doubt about it. He's hit the ground running already.
I think you make a really important point of the unique nature of Western and the need to be in the community, because some of your best coaches historically have been those type of folks, whether it's JD Gravina or whether it was Charlie Fisher, who was so great at that coming through. I mean, obviously Don Patterson, Mark Hendrickson. I mean, those type of people connect with Macomas. And that's your life's blood to make money, to get people to come to Western games and to care, because they have that pride in the community. Do you think about that now, go forward in every hire, that has to be not just the right X and O's coach, but the right unique fit for Western?
Yeah, I always say Macomb is Western and Western is Macomb. I mean, we're such a small community that we're so integrated with each other, and what we do impacts, the community itself. And so it is something that we look at. I think for me personally, X's and O's and coaching is just one aspect of it, but there's so much more to getting a really good coach on board. And so, for me, it's looking at all those pieces of the puzzle and making sure that it's not only a good fit within the department as a whole, but what about the university? What about the community? And how do we make sure it's the right fit for everybody involved?
You are probably, more than anybody I know in this business, shaped by coaches. You've had great coaches. You're married to a coach. I mean, all of these things come into play. Is that a nice resource to be able to go home and just, kick the tires with Grant and say, hey, what do you think of this?
Our life is definitely different. I mean, I feel like we only talk about sports half the time. And right now with COVID and we're both home, I mean, it's very rare that we see each other this much. But it is nice. I feel like that was something, we both played college basketball. And so something that was very, very important to both of us, and supporting each other through that process, supporting me as an AD. And then, for as much as I can, I try to get to his games. But, I've been shaped by some really great coaches, and Coach Logue and Cy Hickenbottom and Coach Lapp. And, I could go on with college coaches and Norman Rodriguez and Coach Bray, who was definitely somebody that at the high school level, I wouldn't have probably said that, but ended up being one of my favorite coaches across the board. And, I think that's honestly, that's partly why from a very early age and ingrained in the work ethic that you have to have that blue girl mentality. It's something that's stuck with me and definitely plays a part in who I am today.
I think that was the most diplomatic thing that I've ever heard. Mike Frey is indeed an acquired taste. My favorite acquired taste, but yes, very much an acquired taste. He's one of a kind, Mike Frey is. Just for a chance, I'm going to let you play Pratt's spouse for a second. How proud are you of the job that you saw Grant do this year? Because obviously he got dealt with adversity.
Yeah, I mean, I am. I'm very proud. I mean, I won't tell you what some of the conversations were at home of trying to calm him down, and he does the same for me sometimes, and we're that good balance. But he pours his heart and soul into that program, and coaching is his passion, and I couldn't be more proud of the job that he's done overall there at the program. And then obviously it's something that has a very, very special place in my heart, because it's even though it's Illini West now, it formerly, was Carthage. And so it's something that I take a lot of pride in, having graduated and been a product of that school. And so we sometimes go back and watch some of those high school games and, hey, what if you would have done this or whatnot? But at the end of the day, he does a fantastic job, and I couldn't be more proud of him.
We've talked about challenges a lot. You're in the midst of one this country hasn't seen, at least since maybe World War II. And you are a smaller Division I college, which, you're tied to an athletic budget. You are a business like anybody else, and business is not in America right now. Do you get any sleep at all, Danielle, think about the future and the present just based on where we're at as a society?
No, not much at all. It has its moments, right? So some days you feel a little bit more optimistic than others, and some days those challenges seem like they're endless. But I think for me right now, I think the hardest part and the reason I don't get much sleep is just the unknowns and not being able to answer questions. And for me, coming from a structure and where we talk about time management and prioritizing and planning for the future and everything, and some of that is now you're at the mercy of this virus and getting a vaccine and some of those things. I think that's the hardest part for me, is just not being able to answer the questions of our student athletes and our coaches and community members, and are we, season ticket holders and everybody else. It keeps me up at night, that's for sure. But like I've said to everybody, we'll get through this. Everybody is facing the same kind of challenge in their own way. Every state is a little bit different right now. We'll get through it.
You deal in a business of passions. People wear their leatherneck love or their anger at any given time on sleeve. Is that the toughest part of the job? Is that, sometimes the institution is bound to the perceptions of people who are emotional and the right kind of emotional?
I think it has its challenges, right? I try to stay away from social media and hearing some of those things as much as possible. But for me, it's about focusing on what we're doing and how we move forward as a unit, and what the vision for this program is and this department as a whole. And, working with the leadership to kind of make sure that we put that in play. And, and trying, you're always going to have people that maybe question or don't feel like, that was the right thing. But it's your job to show them why it was the way it was in the decisions that you make. And so, that you have to get them back on board.
You're big with picture, and I'm going to leave you with this. If you had to give someone who is a teenager who thinks maybe this is an interest and something that by listening to this sparked interest in your job, something really interesting and different do in their lives, what would be the biggest piece of advice you give to Danielle in terms of trying to make their goals reality in a vocation?
Oh, wow. For me, it was about, during my time, embracing every opportunity and going all in, leaning in from the very beginning and taking on those challenges that sometimes you didn't even know if you could accomplish, right? So I was presented with a very unique situation, from a graduate assistant and having 3 different bosses in 2 years. Some people look at that as a challenge. I look at it as embracing the opportunity and gaining more experience. And I say, throw yourselves into asking questions, asking to be involved in meetings, taking on those opportunities that, I'll do it. I've got to figure out how, but I'll do it, and just, throw yourself in full force, 100% to what you want to do in the future. And, I tell everybody, if this is what you want to do, come and I'll sit down and have a conversation with you, because you have to be committed. You have to, give it your all. And this has to be, your passion. And for some, it's not, and that's okay. But if it is, give it your all and go 110% at it.